So, you ever watched a full contact karate match and just been blown away? I mean, the speed, the power, the sheer intensity, it's just incredible. But have you ever wondered what's really going on? Like, what separates a winning move from a foul? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down the official rules of a Kyokushin Karate World Championship so you can watch it all like a total pro.
All right, so let's get right into it. What does it actually take to win one of these things? You know, it's not just about who's the strongest or the fastest. Not at all. Winning at this level, it takes incredible skill, a sharp strategy, and an absolute iron will. And all of that has to happen within a really specific, really demanding set of rules. So, what exactly are they?
Well, the organization that lays down all these rules is the Kyokushin World Federation, or the KWF. Think of them as the global authority for these massive tournaments. They're the ones making sure everything is fair, the fighters are safe, and that the true spirit of Kyokushin Karate is front and center in every single match.
And here's something that's actually really interesting. The whole official purpose of these championships, it goes way beyond just a simple competition. I mean, if you look at the KWF's own handbook, it says it's all about promoting world peace and universal friendship. That's a really powerful philosophy, especially when you think it's the foundation for some of the absolute toughest fights you will ever see.
Okay, so with that pretty powerful idea in mind, let's step inside the ring. Let's take a look at the actual physical space where these incredible battles of spirit and technique go down.
So the entire fight, every single second of it, happens inside this 9 by 9 meter square. And that's, well, it's not a huge space, right? But that's completely by design. It's meant to force constant engagement. There's literally no room to run, nowhere to hide. You have to face your opponent. Every decision is made right here. Okay, now we're talking full contact karate here, so obviously safety is a huge deal. The gear they wear is pretty minimal, but what they do have is absolutely crucial. For the men, groin protectors are mandatory. No exceptions. And for the women, the rules say they have to wear both breast protection and shin pads. And this really shows you the kind of balance the KOF is trying to achieve. This image here, it's taken right out of the official rulebook, showing the approved breast protection. It's all about this idea. Let's allow for powerful, realistic, effective techniques, but at the same time, we have to protect the athletes from getting seriously hurt. It's a fine line to walk. All right, now we get to the core of it all. This is the big question, right? We know where they fight, we know what they wear, but how does a fighter actually win a match? Let's break down how the scoring works. So the ultimate goal, the thing every fighter is aiming for, is to score an ippon. That's a full point. The easiest way to think about it is like a knockout in boxing. It's a clean, powerful technique, could be a punch, a kick, an elbow, that puts your opponent on the mat for 5 seconds or more. If you do that, the match is over. Instantly. You win. So, the crucial difference here really comes down to the clock. It's all about that 5-second mark. As you can see, if a technique drops an opponent and they stay down for 5 seconds or more, boom, that's an ippon, match over. But what if they're down for less than 5 seconds? If they get back up and are ready to fight? Well, that's a waza-ari, which is a half point. The fight keeps going, but you're now halfway to winning.
And that, of course, brings us to the second way to win the match. It's simple math, really. If you can score 2 of those half points, 2 waza-ari, they add up. They combine to make 1 full point, an ippon. This is called a wasei ippon. And yeah, it's another way to wrap things up and get the victory before that final bell rings.
Okay, but here's a great question. What happens if a fighter lands a kick that's so powerful it makes their opponent completely lose their balance, but they don't actually fall all the way to the floor? Does that still count? The answer is yes, absolutely. That can also be scored as a waza-ari. What the judges are looking for are techniques that are clearly effective and visibly throw the opponent off their game. Of course, winning isn't just about all of the things you can do. It's also about what you're not allowed to do. So let's shift gears a bit and talk about the forbidden techniques, the fouls, and see how discipline is enforced inside that ring. So here's a list of some of the major no-nos. And the big one, the one everyone knows, is that you cannot touch the opponent's face or neck with your hands or elbows. Kicks to the head are allowed, which is intense, but absolutely no punches. Also on the forbidden list, groin kicks, headbutts, grabbing or holding the uniform, the dogi, or the arms and legs. And of course, a huge one is attacking an opponent who's already down. You do any of these, and you're going to get the referee's attention, and fast. And that attention from the ref, it comes in the form of this penalty ladder. It's a clear system. So first, a minor foul gets you a chui. That's basically a formal warning. If you get a second warning, or if you commit one really severe foul, that gets you a genten ichi. That's your first official penalty. A second penalty is called genten ni. And if you manage to rack up a third penalty, well, that's shikaku. You're out. Disqualified.
But how do these penalties actually affect the score? This is where it gets really strategic. See, penalties don't just put you at risk of getting kicked out of the fight. They have a direct impact on the judge's decision if the match goes the full 3 minutes. Okay, this table breaks down exactly how the scores and penalties balance each other out. So, take a look at that first row. Fighter A has 1 half point, a waza-ari. Fighter B has 1 penalty, a genten ichi. In this case, Fighter A wins. Their score is worth more. But now look at the second row. Things get interesting. Fighter A still has that half point, but now Fighter B has picked up 2 penalties. And believe it or not, those 2 penalties actually cancel out that half point, and the result is a draw. It's a pretty fascinating system of checks and balances, right?
So, to put it simply, here's the first rule to remember. A waza-ari is greater than a genten ichi. Scoring that half point is more valuable than your opponent making 1 mistake and getting 1 penalty. It clearly puts you ahead on the judges' scorecards.
But then, here's the equalizer. As we just saw, 2 penalties, that genten-mi, are considered equal to a half point, and this is so crucial for fighters to remember. It means that if you've scored a clean waza-ari, but you've also been sloppy and picked up 2 penalties, you've just completely wiped out your own advantage. It's like it never happened.
Okay, so what happens when it's down to the wire? The clock runs out, there's been no ippon, there's no deciding half point, and the scores are completely even. This, my friends, is where these fights get incredibly, incredibly tense. So here's how they figure out a winner. The standard match is 3 minutes long. If it's a draw at the end of that, they fight a 2-minute extension round. If it's still a draw after that, things get really interesting. They actually pause the fight to do a weigh-in, and only if there's still no winner after the weigh-in, they might go to one last final 2-minute extension.
And that weigh-in we mentioned? It can be absolutely critical. 10 kilograms, that's the magic number. In the open category, if the match is a draw after the first extension and one fighter is at least 10 kilograms heavier than the other, the lighter fighter is automatically declared the winner. It's a really cool rule that rewards the incredible skill and spirit of a smaller fighter taking on a much larger opponent.
So what if, after all of that, after the extensions, after the weigh-in, there is still no clear winner? Well, then it all comes down to a final binding decision. The supreme judge and a review panel make the ultimate call, and they're basing it on one thing. Who was the more effective, more aggressive, and more dominant fighter throughout the entire match?
So when you put all these pieces together, the scoring, the strict rules about fouls, the absolutely grueling tiebreakers, it becomes crystal clear that this is so much more than just a fight. It's a really complex, intricate system designed to find the truly superior martial artist. Which kind of leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? With rules this demanding, is Kyokushin the ultimate test of a fighter's skill, their spirit, and their discipline?